Swadika, very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nabunag.
สวัสดีค่ะ I am Hatay Teshakit
And we'll begin tonight with the latest on the COVID 19 situation in Thailand. And today, the country has recorded the highest number of COVID 19 infections today, with up to over 9,000 new cases. And that is a lot here. And most of them are infected prisoners. So, out of 9,635 new cases, 6,853 of them are infected prisoners. And so far, around 82,000 have been infected in the latest outbreak beginning in April, while the new cases also raised the cumulative total since early last year to about 111,000 already. 25 more deaths have also been recorded today, raising the death toll to 614. At the same time, around 43,000 people are still being treated in hospitals, including 22,000 in hospitals, in general hospitals, and another 20,000 in field hospitals. Severe cases have increased to 1,226, with 400 of them on ventilators. The CCSA spokesman, Dr. Tawisin Wisnuyotin, noted that the spread of the disease continues to surge in Bangkok and its suburbs, which found 2,362 additional infections today, whereas the spread of the disease in other provinces is steadily slowing. The 10 provinces with the most new infections are Bangkok, Samut Prakan, Pathum Thani, Nonthaburi, Samut Sakhon, Chonburi, Songkhla, Phetchaburi, Nakhon Pathom, and Ayutthaya. At the same time, there are 17 provinces free of new infections as well. So that is the latest on the figures from the CCSA today.
Right, and speaking of a really high number today, thanks to also a very high number of the inmates being infected with COVID-19, the Corrections Department said it is not and will not conceal the actual number of COVID-19 infections among prison inmates. The doubts among the public began when the number of new infected cases among the inmates rises fast in the past few days, with a total of now 10,000 cases tested positive this month alone, and most of whom, almost 10,000 cases, were found over the past week. Director General Ayut Sin Thokpan said that the rapid increase stems from the 100% proactive screening being conducted by the Department for reporting to the Ministry of Public Health. He explained that prisons, which are closed facilities, should have been places where containment could be achieved. This was not the case, however, because some of the inmates have to be escorted to attend court hearings and the admission of new prisoners. The disease has already spread to 8 prisons, and for the inspection between May 12 to 16, 8 prisons have been found finding their COVID-19 cases, with the most cases in Chiang Mai Central Prison at almost 4,000 cases among 6,400 inmates, and followed by Central Women Correctional Institution, 1,039 cases, Bangkok Remand Prison, 1,960 cases, Kongprim Central Prison, 1,016 cases, Shashang Central Prison, 43 cases, at Thonburi Remand Prison, 1,725 cases, Central Special Correctional Institution, 12 cases, and lastly, Nonthaburi Prison, 59 cases. Meanwhile, according to government deputy spokesperson Taisuri Taisoranapun, the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has instructed Corrections Department to step up active screening of prison inmates and to treat sick prisoners humanly like any other patient as the COVID-19 surge continues in prisons.
So we can see that the clusters are also in prisons here. And the reason why we're seeing big numbers here is because most of the prisons conduct proactive screening to find new cases there. And back to Bangkok, because of the number of infections are increasing, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration has extended closures of several venues, including schools, until the end of this May, with the exception of eateries, which can reopen today. And this is according to the BMA announcement issued yesterday. Based on the previous BMA announcements issued back in late April, ordering the closure of all entertainment venues, movie theaters, fitness clubs, children's playgrounds, educational institutes, all competition grounds, boxing rings, horse race courses, and public swimming pools are due to expire today. The new announcement has extended the closures for 2 more weeks. Dine-in service in eateries are permissible up to 9 p.m., with the number of diners limited to one per table, which normally seats 4 people. However, no alcohol may be served. At the same time, the take home and delivery services can continue up to 11 p.m. The latest announcement followed a meeting of the Bangkok Communicable Disease Committee on Sunday, which assessed the COVID 19 spread in the capital, where 27 clusters of infections have been reported in 17 districts. Only 7 clusters have been brought under control so far, while efforts are ongoing to contain the spread of the disease in the remainder. So we're seeing that many of the venues will continue to close except for the eateries, because the COVID 19 situation is not. Whoa, excuse me. So we're seeing that many of the venues will have to be closed for another 2 weeks, except for the eateries, because of the COVID 19 situation in Bangkok.
Mm. Well, actually, that's certainly good news for a lot of people who looking to change the scene from their home, being working from home. But uh, one reminder is that you can only sit as one person per one table. So there are pros and cons, and not to mention the risk associated with going out to consider as well.
Exactly.
Now, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration is conducting a lot of proactive screenings in many communities, and now, especially at construction sites surrounding areas at Lak Si district. So far, 2,000 people have been screened, with 680 tested positive out of 1,667 labor workers. 120 of them have been sent to hospital for treatment, while the high risk groups have been quarantined. So far, the construction sites have been closed off while workers are provided with meals and other necessities. Also, the Lak Si district office and the police are strictly monitoring the entrance and exits to the construction site. Meanwhile, the COVID 19 Information Center has identified 5 clusters in Bangkok. They are seeing high number of daily new infections. These are the worker housing facilities in Lak Si, Dindang Apartments, the site worker housing in Watana, the Klong Tom Center, the July 22 Circle in Pumprap, and Hoi Kwang Market in Dindang. So particularly at the construction worker housing facility in Lak Si, where 482 out of 559 workers screened have tested positive yesterday.
And now let's move on to the issue of COVID 19 vaccines. Many Thais have been urged to register through the MOPROM application so that they can book their appointments for the vaccination. So far, about 6 million Thais have registered for the COVID 19 vaccinations through the MOPROM application. So out of these 6 million people, around 715,000 people are in Bangkok, and the remaining 5,000 are across the country. And this is according to the MOPROM Facebook page, adding that vaccination appointments for June now meet the supply of vaccines allocated for the month, and other applicants will have to wait until July to be inoculated. Meanwhile, the COVID 19 Information Center reported that around 2 million doses of vaccine have so far been administered, while around 779,000 people have received both doses. However, according to Saturday's report from the Thai Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovations, Around 1.4 billion doses of vaccine have been administered in 197 countries and territories, including Thailand. But in Israel, half of its population have been inoculated, whereas in the United States, around 268 million doses have been administered, and 120 million Americans have received both doses. As for the Southeast Asian region, around 39.9 million vaccine doses have been administered, with 27.5% of the population in Singapore having been inoculated, while Indonesia has already administered 22.6 million doses, which is the highest amount among ASEAN nations. While the first four countries in the world to have administered more than 100 million doses each, accounting for 60% of the vaccines administered worldwide, are China, the United States, the European Union, and India. So we're seeing that many countries have inoculated its population. So we have to see for Thailand whether they will actually try to inoculate half of its population.
Mhm. And with more than 6 million people already registering through the Moprom app for June, and that already filled the quota because there will be delivery of AstraZeneca vaccine in June. At 6 million doses and 10 more million doses in the following months until November. And then we have 5 more million doses from AstraZeneca in December. So that seems to be the supply meeting the demands as well for now. Now,
Right.
moving on to, well, actually, still with the vaccination, on Friday, the China Sinovac, 500,000 doses of China's Sinovac have been delivered to Thailand since last week. And there's a delivery ceremony between the Public Health Minister Anutin Chanvirakul as well. We have China's Sinovac from Yang Xin, Charge d'Affaires of the Chinese Embassy in Thailand, who also joined the ceremony in submitting the 500,000 doses. Yang Xin said during the ceremony that he's honored to represent the Chinese government in administering 500,000 more COVID 19 vaccine doses for the Thai government to control the spread of the virus, which also indicates a strong relationship between the two countries and how the Chinese government can help others during the pandemic. He added that China has donated vaccines to 80 countries around the world and exported vaccines to 50 countries to help developing countries to have access to them. And so far, Thailand has received 4 million doses of vaccines from China, and another 2 million doses is also scheduled to arrive in Thailand by the end of this month. Meanwhile, Thailand is also planning to administer Sinovac vaccines every month to ensure that the country has sufficient doses to inoculate its people.
Definitely. So we're seeing that the Thai government is trying really hard to get the
Mhm.
COVID-19 vaccines from Sinovac as well as other brands to inoculate the population as soon as possible here. And now let's move on to something more delightful. Many Thais woke up this morning to root for Thailand's representative on the Miss Universe competition, Amanda Obdam, which competed in this year's Miss Universe at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Hollywood in Florida of the United States. And we have to admit that Amanda Obdam is considered the hope for the nation because many Thais have been rooting for her to bring the third Miss Universe crown to Thailand because the last Thai to be crowned Miss Universe was back in 1988, and that is over 30 years ago. However, Amanda reached the top 10 after the swimsuit and the evening gown competition. But for the evening gown, though, it became the center of attention, especially on social media. So, according to Miss Universe Thailand's official Facebook page, the gown was inspired by her growing up as an island girl on Phuket, and the details of the dress resemble the waves of the Andaman Sea. But for this year, Miss Universe winner is Miss Mexico, while the runner ups are Brazil, Peru, India, and the Dominican Republic. And at the same time, Myanmar won the national costume category with her Pray for Myanmar message, which actually captivated many of the audience as well as the judges. So after the competition, Amanda posted on her official Facebook page, which says, "The impactable night just ended. I'm filled with so much happiness and joy. The feeling I had walking on that stage was indescribable. And I did my very best, just like I said I would. Thank you, everyone, for always believing in me. I'm overwhelmed by all the love and support, and I hope I made you all proud." So that's a message she posted on her Facebook as well as her Instagram. And we have to admit that Amanda has wowed her fans throughout her journey in Florida and during the entire Miss Universe competition, especially with her national costume, which resembling the Siamese fighting fish, as well as her golden evening gown, which was inspired by fireworks. Her style throughout her stay in Florida also impressed many fans, as well as a number of Thai lifestyle websites even analyzed her chosen outfits. And a bit of a background for this beauty queen, the 27-year-old Canadian Thai beauty queen won the Miss Universe Thailand title back in 2020 and has previously competed in numerous pageants such as Miss Thailand World back in 2015 and Miss Grand Thailand 2016, and she has competed those before winning the Miss Universe Thailand title. Amanda is also an advocate on mental health issues through her campaign Have You Listened to encourage people to become better listeners. However, she has created some controversy since last year with her vocal criticism of the government and strong support for the anti government protests, which cost her her position of the mental health ambassador back in March.
Well, Ashley, it was such an exciting event that was seen and looked forward to by so many fans, millions of fans across so many countries in the world. And you have to admit, of course, Amanda did us proud as well, being in the top 10, being the only two Asians in the top 10 as well, apart from Miss India, who also made it to top 5. So that was really interesting, really fun indeed.
Definitely. And I'm pretty sure that many people who woke up this morning were rooting for Amanda ever since the beginning of the live show. And to see her in the top 10, although many people may have expected her to join the top 5 or the top 3, but being in the top 10 has already made so many fans really proud of her.
Mhm. And especially the Thai national costume is really splendid. But of course, we can't deny that Miss Vietnam's version is also really interesting and exquisite.
Exactly, especially with the Miss Myanmar national costume and with the strong message, "Pray for Myanmar." That is
Mm.
definitely a moment for Miss Universe
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
And interestingly enough, Miss Myanmar, this is the first year that Miss Myanmar entered the top 21 because if we look at previous years, we've never seen Miss Myanmar in top 20s at all here.
Mm. So that's definitely a milestone. And that's it. That wraps up the program, this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and also our website, www.thaipbsworld.com.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ